and a good afternoon to everybody who is watching. Welcome to a Friday edition of the Chattering Magpies Read Along. Today we are reading Anne of Green Gables. Hello everybody, how are you?
Heya!
Good. Hey. Happy to see you all. So, we've been making our way through Anne of Green Gables. We've fallen terribly behind the anime, but we never really intended to keep at the pace of the anime. But we are getting into like a little bit more detail, which is appreciated because from what you guys have probably noticed is many of the interesting little details have to be skipped. You know, it's an adaptation and they're covering 3 books in 24 episodes, so some things are going to be left on the cutting room floor. So this is our opportunity to really savor the original work. And I'm having so much fun sharing it with you guys, like just listening to you guys read it and put your own spin on it and your own take on it. Sometimes it does sound very, very different and better than like the voices in my head. Wait. The voices in my head, that sounds terrible, but my inner monologue when I read it to myself. So yeah, thank you guys have been doing great. But you know what, the gang here with me, they're seasoned veterans. They are so good at reading already. Like, how many light novel volumes did we read together, gang? Approximately. Maybe like, I want to say like 9 A Sense of a Bookworm volumes. And then on top of that, we read, we did Chit Chats, and then we did A World Away, which was like pretty long. So yeah, I think
Blue Castle
I read by myself, which is why I guess nobody tuned in to to read it. Though I did read my little heart out, and I had so much fun. So thank you to those of you who joined me. I know several of you are here. So thank you for joining your magpie. Yeah, I know Teal was here. And, you know. I think Little Butterfly too. You made some memes, right, Butterfly? At some point? Probably. I think Butterfly is a little busy right now. Anyway, gang, I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, I did make memes for different things. So
Yes.
I've been here.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm happy that you guys are still with me here. All right, so let's say hello to the people on YouTube as everybody trickles in. So we have Hirami, who was the very first one and who is saying hello Hirami, how are you? Oh man, I love to see those green those names in green, because those are the supporters and the little badges next to it. Hello. Also Teal, who
We're so chic.
right, so special with your little gem. By the way, FYI, as the longer you're a member, like the color will change. So it goes from blue, like it goes the colors of the rainbow: blue, light blue, I think yellow, orange. Then there's like pink, then purple, and I haven't uploaded it, but like the 5-year, if we ever get to that length of being together, the 5-year one is going to be gold, so it's like glittery gold. So maybe one day, if you join this channel and decide to support, maybe one day in 5 years' time, you will be able to make the glittery gold yours. I don't know, you guys. I don't know if I'll still be around for that, but we can dream. Let's see, maybe something will have caught my attention, and I don't know, but I doubt it. Ferdinand has got his claws on my heart, so I won't be abandoning this fandom anytime soon. All right, we also have Teal, and none of you better abandon. Do not abandon the bookworm fandom. I will be so disappointed and sad. All right. We have Teal says, I'm very tired thanks to my 16 going on 17, hyperthyroid, having cats. Oh my goodness. Wait, you have 17 cats?
Crazy
No.
cat.
Yeah, that was poorly phrased. They're almost 17 years old.
Oh,
There's 2 of them.
Oh, okay. Oh, hyperthyroid having. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But still, I was like, whoa. How do you have 17 cats? How do you go from?
In my heart, I have 17 cats.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I got it. I am 16 going on 17. Yeah. You guys
I don't know.
I'm so tired I can't phrase my sentences.
I've had 23 cats, but they've been outdoor cats on a farm, so there's kind of a difference there.
Yeah. There's a very fine line between loving cats and then, I don't know, insanity. I don't know.
Insanity.
So yeah, okay. Poor Teal. So what have they been having the zoomies or what? What have they been doing?
No, they keep me up with food demands. So every 2 hours they need fed.
Don't you have those little machines or something? Don't they have little machines?
They now
Those cost
also
a good bit
only
of money.
Wait, what was it?
They need
Teal?
wet food.
Oh, they need wet food. You can't just
Yeah,
that will be bad. Yeah. What was that, Patrick?
Those machines cost money.
Everything costs money. Consider it an investment if you feed your cat kibble. I think it's an investment. I had a friend. She had a cat and she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go, but can you go and every 3 days or every 2 days go to my house and see the cat, clean the box?" I didn't do it, of course. My sister went. Because she was a better friend than me. And yeah, she did the things. But yeah, she had this thing where she would put kibble, and at the appointed hour, the kibble would go out. And then she could also talk to her cat. I don't know, she could go meow, 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 meow. And then the cat would kind of be on the other side. So you could talk to her on the phone. I don't know. It's an investment on the wellness and safety and I don't know, of your cat. I don't know. But also of yourself, because otherwise you have to be with cat all the time. I wouldn't mind it though. If I had a cat, I would probably travel with my emotional support animal. I'm going to Hawaii, I'll bring the cat. Going to Mexico, I'll bring the cat. Europe, we bring the cat. Everywhere we bring the cat. All right. Yes, you guys, I am a cat person, if you didn't realize it. But Teal, I'm sorry you're very tired, but thank you for joining us. And I'm sure, I am positive that you will do an excellent job with your lines today, as always. Patrick was also here. Hey, Patrick says, "Happy Good Friday, even if it's just okay." Right. Thank you, Patrick. For me, it is just an all-right Friday, though.
I had to steal that joke from Teal. She made it earlier.
Well, good thing I hadn't mentioned it, so you was able to put it in there. But you didn't have to say it, because you didn't have to say
Yes.
It was from Teal. You could have just taken credit and then just been like,
well, that would just be rude, especially since she's right here.
I think you guys could have come to an agreement afterwards, maybe. But,
Outright theft is the highest form of flattery.
Here. That is true. Well, thank you for wishing us Good Friday. I hope that you all are feeling good. Teal is tired and I woke up with a headache. And I've been powering through because since it's Easter weekend, there's so much going on. I work for a church, so I'm in charge of many things, and Fridays are usually my prep days. So it's been rough this morning, but I had lunch and I had a delicious quesadilla and some soup, and I feel a little better. Afterwards, I probably will have some coffee. By the way, you guys, I didn't know the extent that coffee dehydrates you. Went to a doctor and she's like, "Yeah, you're very dehydrated." She's like, "How much coffee do you drink?" I'm like, "Oh, just the one latte in the morning." She's like, "How much water do you drink today?" I'm like, "Nothing." She's like, "Yeah, for every cup of coffee, you want to drink 2 cups of water or something like that." I'm like, wow, talk about a massive fail.
Wow.
Mhm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. And then, yes, she's a new doctor for me, so I was like, wow, this is very informative. And she's also like, okay, you seem to also be having like a little bit of a high blood pressure. And I was like, inside, I was like, yeah, probably because I sprinted down the hill to get here on time. But she also said that high blood pressure is also caused by dehydration. So when they say your kidneys need water, it's not because you have to flush them out with clear water. It's also because your blood pressure, it eventually, if you don't take care of it, it will affect your kidneys and you will experience kidney failure. So everybody drink water. I have water. I have here my 1 liter carafe, so sparkling, clean, and delicious. I know. Random facts with Magpie. Welcome. This is just small chit chat, but I love having it with you guys. So sometimes it feels like it's monologue. But then again, you signed up for Chattering Magpie, so there you go. What else is new? All right.
I just like to let you dig yourself a hole and then make fun of you for it later.
Thank you. You would mean later. You make fun of me immediately. You have no concern, no mercy for my poor nerves. It says Adnan.
It's what I do.
Adnan AI Salami. Hello, how are you? I believe I don't know if I recognize you from earlier chats. This is your first time here. If so, welcome, my darling. Here, have a whole bunch of hearts. Welcome to our read-alongs. The Magpie welcomes you, and here, have a whole bunch of hearts. Says, I like Anne of Green Gables. I also like Anne of Green Gables, and I am sure glad that you have joined us for this, and I hope you join us many, many times. Also, hi Remy is emoji. Username. Interesting username. I don't believe I have seen you here either, but also emoji, a kitty emoji. Yes, and a fellow cat lover. Love it. Also, Yukihime. By the way, Yukihime, where the heck are you? Says, hey guys, I'm going to hear the reread tomorrow. Have fun. No, Yukihime, no. Okay, we're gonna give Yukihime a break because she's Europe time, and right now it's evening, so definitely doing things. So especially because it's a holiday. So Yukihime, have fun, take care, eat lots of yummy things. Just enjoy yourself. We'll see you next time. And Noodles Dumplings Kimchi Noodles is here. It says, hello, bookworms. Hello, happy to see you. I always like Noodles Dumplings Kimchi because, well, and then there's others of you here. But I may post like some random stupid tweet. I'm sorry, you guys. I can't tweet properly, like anything witty. I just say like, I like Ferdinand. And Noodles Dumpling Kimchi is also like, yes, you're awesome. This tweet is awesome. Basically, by replying to the tweet, it makes me feel good. So, Noodles, you also have a special place in my heart. Here, have a whole bunch of hearts. Feed it. I need validation, you guys.
She needs the ego validation.
Since I'm no longer writing fanfics, I need the validation. By the way, I am writing the prologue to my newest fanfic, Pride and Prejudice and Bookworms. So maybe over the weekend you will get something. So keep an eye out for that. Follow me on AO3, Archive of Our Own. And if you like fanfics, do join me there. All right. Oh my goodness, it is rather. I think I've been blabbing on for too long. Let's change that. Today we're going to be reading Anne of Green Gables chapter 7. Yes.
7.
Mm-hmm. So do you guys want to give us a quick refresh of what happened earlier in the chapter before?
So we met Mrs. Blewett.
Mm-hmm. What was your impression of Mrs. Blewett and what did she want?
Well, I read her and I feel like she's kind of she kind of has a little bit of nasal voice. She can be a little disgusting.
She's a meanie.
She is a meanie. She was definitely going to exploit. So, because Anne is not an orphan boy that they sent for, Marilla was like, yeah, we have to return her. But But when she went to go straighten out the situation, turns out that Mrs. Blewett was like, well, I need somebody to help me around the house with the baby and other stuff, like a little servant. And Marilla was like, yeah, I don't like the vibe of this woman. I think I'm just not going to hand Anne over to her. Like, in spite of Anne being like strange and a little bit of a chattermouth, talking nonstop. She is a good kid, and she's very sensitive. And Marilla, after listening to Anne's story, she was like, yeah, I can't let this child live with this woman. I'll take care of it. I'll just have to bring her up. The thing is, though, like, Anne didn't tell her, what was it? No. This is where Marilla already decided that they're going to keep her. Yes. Yeah. So Marilla didn't tell Anne that they are going to keep her. So she's just going to wait until later to tell her that. But for now, her bringing up is going to begin. No. Anne is going to say her prayers. Sorry, you guys. All right. So after they return, Anne feels hopeful that maybe they will keep her. We'll see. But anyway, Marilla is set on helping her as best as she can as well. Anything else that I forgot to point out about the previous chapter, gang?
I think got pretty much everything.
All right, cool. Hey, I see White Rose K says, I will listen to a rewatch after work. Happy reading. Thank you, White Rose. I hope you enjoy our reading. So, today we shall be reading chapters 7 and 8. And the people who are going to be reading are the following. Where's my paper? Here it is. Today it's only 2 readers. We have Hirami is going to be reading Anne, and Teal is going to be reading Marilla. And everybody else here is going to support them. Yes. All right, everybody, let's get started. Chapter 7. Anne says her prayers. When Marilla took Anne up to bed that night, she said stiffly,
Now, Anne, I noticed last night that you threw your clothes all about the floor when you took them off. That is a very untidy habit, and I can't allow it at all. As soon as you take off any article of clothing, fold it neatly and place it on the chair. I haven't any use at all for little girls who aren't neat.
I was so hurried up in my mind last night that I didn't think about my clothes at all.
said Anne.
I will fold them nicely tonight. They always made us do that in the asylum. Half the time, though, I forget. I'll be in such a hurry to get into bed nice and quiet and imagine things.
You'll have to remember a little better if you stay here.
Admonished Marilla.
There, that looks something like. Say your prayers now and get into bed.
I never say any prayers.
Announced Anne. Marilla looked horrified astonishment.
Wait, Anne, what do you mean? Were you never taught to say your prayers? God always wants little girls to say their prayers. Don't you know who God is, Anne?
God is a spirit, infinite, eternal, and unchangeable, in His being, wisdom, power, holiness, justice, goodness, and truth.
Responded Anne promptly and glibly. Marilla looked rather relieved.
So you do know something then. Thank goodness. You're not quite a heathen. Where did you learn that?
Oh, at the asylum, Sunday school. They made us learn the whole catechism. I liked pretty well. There's something splendid about some of the words, infinite, eternal, and unchangeable. Isn't that grand? It has such a roll to it, just like a big organ playing. You couldn't quite call it poetry, I suppose, but it should sound a lot like it, doesn't it?
We're not talking about poetry, Anne. We are talking about saying your prayers. Don't you know it's a terrible, wicked thing not to say your prayers every night? I'm afraid you are a very bad little girl.
You'd find it easier to be bad than good if you had red hair.
Said Anne reproachfully.
People who hadn't red hair don't know what travel is. Mrs. Thomas told me that God made my hair red on purpose, and I've never cared about him since. And anyhow, I'd always be too tired at night to bother saying prayers. People who have to look after twins can't be expected to say their prayers. Now, do you honestly think they can?
Marilla decided that Anne's religious training must begin at once. Plainly, there was no time to be lost.
You must say your prayers while you're under my roof, Anne.
Why, of course, if you want me to.
Assented Anne cheerfully.
I should do anything to oblige you. But you have to tell me what to say for this once. After I get into bed, I imagine out a real nice prayer to say always. I believe that it will be quite interesting now that I come to think of it.
You must kneel down.
Said Marilla in embarrassment. Anne knelt at Marilla's knee and looked up gravely.
Why must people kneel down to pray? If I really wanted to pray, I would tell you what I'd do. I'd go out to a great big field all alone or into the deep woods and I'd look into the sky. Up into that lovely blue sky that looks as if there's no end to it blueness. And then I'll just feel a prayer. Well, I'm ready. What do I am to say?
Marilla felt more embarrassed than ever. She had intended to teach Anne the childish classic, "Now I lay me down to sleep." But she had, as I have told you, the glimmerings of a sense of humor, which is simply another name for a sense of the fitness of things. And it suddenly occurred to her that that simple little prayer, sacred to white-robed childhood lisping at motherly knees, was entirely unsuited to this freckled witch of a girl who knew and cared nothing about God's love, since she had never had it translated to her through the medium of human love.
You're old enough to pray for yourself, Anne.
She said finally.
Just thank God for your blessings and ask Him humbly for the things you want.
Well, I'll do my best.
Promised Anne, burying her face in Marilla's lap.
Gracious Heavenly Father, that's the way of the minister says in church, so I suppose it's alright in private prayer, right? Isn't it?
She interjected, lifting her head for a moment.
Gracious Heavenly Father, I thank Thee for the white day of the light and the lake of shining waters and Bonnie and the Snow Queen. I'm really extremely grateful for them. And that's all of the blessings I can think of just now and thank Thee for. As for the things I want, they're so numerous that it would take a great deal of time to name them all, so I will only mention two most important. Please let me stay at Green Gables, and please let me be good looking when I grow up. I remain, your respectfully, Anne Shirley. There, did I do alright?
She asked eagerly, getting up.
I could have made it much more flowery if I'd had a little more time to think it over.
Poor Marilla was only preserved from complete collapse by remembering that it was not irreverence, but simply spiritual ignorance on the part of Anne that was responsible for this extraordinary petition. She tucked the child up in bed, mentally vowing that she would be taught a prayer the very next day, and was leaving the room with delight when Anne called her back.
I've just thought of it now. I should have said Amen in place of your respectfully, shouldn't I? The way the ministers do. I'd forgot it, but I felt a prayer should be finished off in some way, so I put it in the order. Do you suppose it will make any difference?
I don't suppose it will. Go to sleep now like a good child. Good night.
I can say good night tonight with a clear conscience.
Said Anne, cuddling luxuriously down among her pillows. Marilla retreated to the kitchen, set the candle firmly on the table, and glared at Matthew.
Matthew Cuthbert, it's about time somebody adopted that child and taught her something. She's next door to a perfect heathen. Will you believe that she never said a prayer in her life till tonight? I'll send to the manse tomorrow and borrow the Peep of the Day series. That's what I'll do. And she shall go to Sunday school just as soon as I can get some suitable clothes made for her. I foresee that I shall have my hands full. Well, well, we can't get through this world without our share of trouble. I've had a pretty easy life of it so far, but my time has come at last, and I suppose I'll just have to make the best of it.
End of chapter. Chapter 8. Anne's bringing up is begun. For reasons best known to herself, Marilla did not tell Anne that she was to stay at Green Gables until the next afternoon. During the forenoon, she kept the child busy with various tasks and watched over her with a keen eye while she did them. By noon, she had concluded that Anne was smart and obedient, willing to work and quick to learn. Her most serious shortcoming seemed to be a tendency to fall into daydreams in the middle of a task and forget all about it until such a time as she was sharply recalled to earth by a reprimand or a catastrophe. When Anne had finished washing the dishes, she suddenly confronted Marilla with the air and expression of one desperately determined to learn the worst. Her thin little body trembled from head to foot. Her face flushed and her eyes dilated until they were almost black. She clasped her hands tightly and said in an imploring voice,
Oh, please, Miss Cuthbert, you won't tell me if you are going to send me away or not. I tried to be patient all the morning, but I really feel that I cannot bear not knowing any longer. It's a dreadful feeling. Please tell me.
You haven't scalded the dishcloth in clean hot water as I told you to do.
said Marilla immovably.
Just go and do it before you ask any more questions, Anne.
Anne went and attended to the dishcloth. Then she returned to Marilla and fastened imploring eyes on the latter's face.
Well,
said Marilla, unable to find any excuse for deferring her explanation longer.
I suppose I might as well tell you. Matthew and I have decided to keep you. That is, if you will try to be a good little girl and show yourself grateful. Why, child, whatever is the matter?
I'm crying.
Said Anne in a tone of bewilderment.
I can't think why. I'm glad as glad I can be. Oh, glad doesn't seem the right word at all. I was glad about the white way and the cherry blossoms, but this, oh, it's something more than glad. I'm so happy. I will try to be good. I will be uphill work I expect for Mrs. Thompson often told me I was desperately wicked. However, I will do my very best. But can you tell me why I'm crying?
I suppose it's because you're all excited and worked up.
Said Marilla disapprovingly.
Sit down on that chair and try to calm yourself. I'm afraid you both cry and laugh far too easily. Yes, you can stay here, and we will try to do right by you. You must go to school, but it's only a fortnight till vacation, so it isn't worthwhile for you to start before it opens up again in September.
What I am to call you?
Asked Anne.
Shall I always say Miss Cuthbert? Can I call you Aunt Marilla?
No, you'll just call me plain Marilla. I'm not used to being called Miss Cuthbert, and it would make me nervous.
It sounds awfully disrespectful to say Marilla.
Protested Anne.
I guess there'll be nothing disrespectful in it if you're careful to speak respectfully. Everybody, young and old, in Avonlea calls me Marilla except the minister. He says Miss Cuthbert when he thinks of it.
I'd love to call you Aunt Marilla.
Said Anne wistfully.
I've never had an aunt or any relationship a relation at all, not even a grandmother. It would make me feel as if I really belong to you. Can't I call you Aunt Marilla?
No, I'm not your aunt, and I don't believe in calling people names that don't belong to them.
But we could imagine you were my aunt.
I couldn't.
said Marilla grimly.
Do you never imagine things different from what they really are?
Asked Anne wide-eyed.
No.
Oh,
Anne drew a long breath.
oh, Miss Marilla, how much you miss.
I don't believe in imagining things different from what they really are.
Retorted Marilla.
When the Lord puts us in certain circumstances, He doesn't mean for us to imagine them away. And that reminds me. Go into the sitting room, Anne. Be sure your feet are clean and don't let any flies in, and bring me out the illustrated card that's on the mantelpiece. The Lord's Prayer is on it, and you'll devote your spare time this afternoon to learning it off by heart. There's to be no more of such praying as I heard last night.
I suppose I was very awkward.
Said Anne apologetically.
But then, you see, I'd never had any practice. You couldn't really expect a person to pray very well the first time she tried, could you? I thought out a splendid prayer after I went to bed, just as I promised I would. Just I promised you I would. I was nearly as long as the minister and so poetical, but would you believe it? I couldn't remember one word when I woke up this morning, and I'm afraid I would never be able to think out another one as good. Somehow things never are so good when they're thought out a second time. Have you ever noticed that?
Here is something for you to notice, Anne. When I tell you to do a thing, I want you to obey me at once and not stand stock still and discourse about it. Just you go and do as I bid you.
Anne promptly departed for the sitting room across the hall. She failed to return. After waiting 10 minutes, Marilla laid down her knitting and marched after her with a grim expression. She found Anne standing motionless before a picture hanging on the wall between the two windows, with her eyes a-star with dreams. The white and green light straying through the apple trees and clustering vines outside fell over the wrapped little figure with a half unearthly radiance.
Anne, whatever are you thinking of?
Demanded Marilla sharply. Anne came back to earth with a start.
That.
She said, pointing to the picture. A rapid vivid chromo entitled Christ Blessing Little Children.
And I just imagined I was one of them. That I was the little girl in the blue dress, standing off by herself in the corner as if she didn't belong to anybody, like me. She looks lonely and sad, don't you think? I guess she hadn't any father or mother of her own, but she wanted to be blessed too, so she just crept shyly up on the outside of the crowd, hoping nobody would notice her except him. I'm sure I know just how she felt. Her heart must have beat and her hands must have got cold like mine did when I asked you if I could stay. She was afraid he mightn't notice her, but it's likely he did. Don't you think? I've been trying to imagine it all out. Her edging a little near all the time until she was quite close to him, and then he would look at her and put his hand on her hair, and oh, such a thrill of joy as would run over her. But I wish the artist hadn't made him so sorrowful looking. All his pictures are like that. If you've noticed, but I don't believe he could really have looked so sad, or the children would have been afraid of him.
Anne,
Said Marilla, wondering why she had not broken into this speech long before.
you shouldn't talk that way. It's irreverent. Positively irreverent.
Anne's eyes marveled.
Why, I felt just as reverent as could be. I'm sure I didn't mean to be irreverent.
Well, I don't suppose you did. But it doesn't sound right to talk so familiarly about such things. And another thing, Anne, when I send you after something, you're to bring it at once and not fall into mooning and imagining before pictures. Remember that. Take that card and come right to the kitchen. Now, sit in the corner and learn that prayer off by heart.
Anne set the card up against the jug full of apple blossoms she had brought in to decorate the dinner table. Marilla had eyed that decoration askance, but had said nothing, propped her chin on her hands, and fell to studying it intently for several minutes.
I like this.
She announced at length.
It's beautiful. I've heard it before. I heard it the superintendent of the Zion Sunday School say it once, but I didn't like it then. He had such a cracked voice and he prayed it so mournfully. I really felt sure he thought praying was a disagreeable duty. This isn't poetry, but it makes me feel this just the same way poetry does. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. That is just like the line of music. Oh, I'm so glad you thought of making me learn this, Miss Marilla.
Well, learn it and hold your tongue.
Said Marilla shortly. Anne tipped a vase of apple blossoms near enough to bestow a soft kiss on a pink cup bud, and then studied diligently for some moments longer.
Marilla,
She demanded presently.
do you think that I shall ever have a bosom friend in Avonlea?
Uh, a what kind of friend?
A bosom friend. A intimate friend, you know? A really kindred spirit to whom I can confide my inmost soul. I've dreamed of meeting her all my life. I never really supposed I would, but so many of my loveliest dreams have come true all at once that perhaps this one will too. Do you think it is possible?
Diana Barry lives over at Orchard Slope, and she's about your age. She's a very nice little girl, and perhaps she will be a playmate for you when she comes home. She's visiting her aunt over at Carmody just now. You'll have to be careful how you behave, yourself, though. Mrs. Barry is a very particular woman. She won't let Diana play with any little girl who isn't nice and good.
Anne looked at Marilla through the apple blossoms, her eyes aglow with interest.
What is Diana like? Her hair isn't red, is it? Oh, I hope not. It's bad enough that to have red hair myself, but I possibly couldn't endure it in a bosom friend.
Diana is a very pretty little girl. She has black eyes and hair and rosy cheeks. And she is good and smart, which is better than being pretty.
Marilla was as fond of morals as the Duchess in Wonderland, and was firmly convinced that one should be tacked on to every remark made to a child who was being brought up. But Anne waved the moral inconsequently aside and seized only on the delightful possibilities before it.
Oh, I'm so glad she's pretty, next to being beautiful oneself. And that's impossible in my case. It would be the best to have a beautiful bosom friend. When I lived with Mrs. Thomas, she had a bookcase in her sitting room with glass doors where there aren't any books in it. Miss Thomas kept her best china and her preserves there, when she had any preserves to keep. One of the doors was broken. Miss Thomas smashed one night when Mr. Thomas smashed it one night when he was slightly intoxicated, but the other was whole, and I used it to pretend that my reflection in it was another little girl who lived in it. I called her Katie Maurice, and we were very intimate. I used to talk to her by the hour, especially on Sunday, and tell her everything. Katie was the comfort and consolations of my life. We used to pretend that the bookcase was enchanted and that if I only knew the spell, I could open the door and step right into the room where Katie Maurice lived. Instead, in, instead of into Mrs. Thomas' shelves or preserves in China. And then Katie Maurice would have taken me by the hand and led me out into the wonderful place. All flowers and sunshines and fairies, and we would have lived there happy forever after. When I went to live with Mrs. Hammond, it just broke my heart to leave Katie Maurice. She felt it dreadful too. I know she did. For she was crying when she kissed me goodbye through the bookcase door. There was no bookcase at Mrs. Hammond's, but just up the river, a little way from the house, there was a long green little valley, and the loveliest echoes lived there. It echoed back every word I said, even if I didn't talk a bit loud. So I imagined that it was a little girl called Violetta, and we were great friends, and I loved her almost as well as I loved Katie Maurice. Not quite, but almost, you know. The night before I went to the asylum, I said goodbye to Violetta, and oh, her goodbye came back to me in such sad tones. I had become so attached to her that I hadn't the heart to imagine the bosom friend at the asylum, even if there had been any scope for an imagination there.
I think it's just as well there wasn't.
Said Marilla dryly.
I don't approve of such goings on. You seem to half believe your own imaginations. It would be well for you to have a real live friend to put such nonsense out of your head. But don't let Mrs. Barry hear you talking about your Katie Maurices and your Violettas, or she'll think you tell stories.
Oh, I won't. I couldn't talk of them to everybody. In their memories are too sacred for that. But I thought I'd like to have you know about them. Oh, look! Here's a big bee just stumbling out of the apple blossom. Just think just think what a lovely place to live in an apple blossom. Fancy going to sleep in it when the wind was rocking it. If I wasn't a human girl, I think I'd like to be a bee and live among the flowers.
Yesterday you wanted to be a seagull.
Sniffed Marilla.
I think you are very fickle-minded. I told you to learn that prayer and not talk, but it seems impossible for you to stop talking if you've got anybody that will listen to you. So go up to your room and learn it.
Oh, I know I've read it nearly all now. All but just the last line.
Well, never mind. Do as I tell you. Go to your room and finish learning it well, and stay there until I call you down to help me get tea.
Can I take the apple blossoms with me for company?
Pleaded Anne.
No, you don't want your room cluttered up with flowers. You should have left them on the tree in the first place.
I did feel a little that way too.
Said Anne.
I kind of felt I shouldn't shorten their lovely lives by picking them. I wouldn't want to be picked if I were an apple blossom. But the temptation was irresistible. What do you do when you meet an irresistible temptation?
Anne, did you hear me tell you to go to your room?
Anne sighed, retreated to the east gable, and sat down in a chair by the window.
There, I know this prayer. I learned that last sentence coming upstairs. Now I'm going to imagine things into this room, so that they will always stay imagined. The floor is covered with white velvet carpet, with pink roses all over it, and there are pink silk curtains at the window. The walls are hung with gold and silver brocade tapestry. The furniture is mahogany. I never saw any mahogany, but it does sound so luxurious. This is a couch, all heaped with gorgeous silken cushions, pink and blue and crimson and gold, and I'm reclining gratefully on it. I can see my reflection in that splendid big mirror hanging on the wall, and I am tall and ragged, clad in a gown of trailing white lace, with pearls across my on my breast and pearls in my hair. My hair is of midnight darkness, and my skin is clear ivory parlor. My name is the Lady Cordelia Fitzgerald. No, it isn't. I can make that seems real.
She danced up to the little looking glass and peered into it. Her pointed, freckled face and solemn gray eyes peered back at her.
You're only Anne of Green Gables.
She said earnestly.
And I see you, just as you are looking now. Whenever I try to imagine I'm the Lady Cordelia, but it's a million times nicer to be Anne of Green Gables than Anne of Nowhere in particular, isn't it?
She bent forward, kissed her reflection affectionately, and betook herself to the open window.
There's no queen. Good afternoon. And good afternoon, there birches down the hall in the hollow. And good afternoon, dear grey house up the hill. I wonder if Diana is to be my bosom friend. I hope she will, and I shall love her very much. But I must never quite forget Katie, Maurice, and Violetta. They would feel so hurt if I did, and I'd hate to hurt anybody's feelings, even a little bookcase girl or a little echo girl's. I must be careful to remember them and send them kisses every day.
Anne blew a couple of airy kisses from her fingertips past the cherry blossoms, and then, with her chin in her hands, drifted luxuriously out on a sea of daydreams. End of chapter.
This girl definitely has her head into the clouds.
How many times did Marilla's like, Anne, did you hear me? Anne, stop talking.
I felt like I was reading a tongue twister.
Bravo for that, man. Like there was a part where it's like all orange. The page was all orange. I was like, you can do this. Bravo to all the readers.
Yay!
All right. So, we finally read the chapter that the anime didn't cover, which was Anne says her prayers. You get Anne doing anything but saying her prayers, asking so many questions, and Marilla's just like, oh my gosh, like this child doesn't know anything about religion or anything like that. I mean, she had, just barely brought up by two women who their least priority was making sure that she had a proper education, so it doesn't surprise me. What else?
I feel like she began daydreaming very fast because she became relaxed after knowing that the Marilla is going to keep her. And like for the first time she can do things for herself and she's so excited. Wow, what a beautiful world. Wow, look at that. Wow, this child used to be sad, but she can be as happy as I am now.
Mm-hmm. It's also like something that I kind of feel like all the time she has been like living in this little world of hers. Not just because she's like, oh my gosh, she's flighty. It's because she's had to somehow escape from the drudgery and just the sad life that she's led up till now. Like she has led a very sad life. So all this time she's just been kind of like using her imagination as an escape. But now that she's surrounded by beauty, she can like really like, I don't know, I feel like she can daydream and it's some more happy kind of imagination, use of her imagination, I think, than just escaping from her reality.
Yeah, let's hope that after meeting Diana that she can keep her head a little at earth.
Right. So yeah, like we didn't get the monologue about Violetta or Katie Maurice in the anime either. But I don't know. Did you guys have an imaginary friend growing up? Here's the question of the day. Did you have an imaginary friend growing up?
I had a imaginary dog because I really wanted a dog as a kid.
Oh, did you eventually get one?
Yeah, I have her. Well, not here. She's at my parents' house because it's bigger there.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, dreams come true. Anybody else?
I had a pretty good imagination, but I never actually imagined myself a friend.
So I had an imaginary friend, though it wasn't a friend, it was a cousin. Very specific, an imaginary family member. And this was because
That sounds like a
this was
sounds like a start of a ghost story. Sorry.
That's okay. So when I moved to the United States, it was like a huge cultural shock. And my best friend back where I'm from, I'm in Mexico, my best friend, the one I hung out with all the time, was my cousin. She's 1 year younger than me. We lost touch, because snail mail only does so much. But I would still kind of like talk to her in my mind, and like there were times like like handball courts, not handball, yeah, handball courts. I remember I used to be like, I'm gonna go play with my cousin. So I would play the handball by myself and imagining that I was playing with my cousin or something like that. I don't know. Instead of playing with another child, I would play with the wall or something like that. I don't know. That's the only thing I can remember that I was trying to cope with my loneliness back then. Yeah. Patrick, did you ever resort to such imaginings, or were you just level-headed and totally rational? No need for imaginary
Oh yes,
friends.
totally rational. There's nothing wrong with me. I never did any of that tomfoolery.
Okay, well. Sure, Patrick, sure. I mean, I think at some points when we're kids, like, there's no limit to our imagination. So we can basically dream up anything. Probably not a friend, but maybe some other situation. Oh, I think I see that we had Crusher. Crusher was, I don't know if he's still listening to us. Maybe he dropped in during a work break. Says, is it Friday? It's Friday, everyone. How y'all doing? We're doing fine. We're having fun here reading. Tio says, such a sad little anecdote of Anne's here. I noticed that she drops like these sad situations like as if they were nothing. Like when she cried, when she
has a weird penchant for doing that.
I think it's all she's known. She's lacking in context, so she doesn't understand how sad it kind of is.
Yeah.
And all the adults around her are like, oh my god, this poor child.
I know I would want to adopt her if I had the means. I'd be like, oh my gosh, let's protect this child. So yeah, I think Marilla is also being like affected by it. I don't know. To me, like, my favorite parts about these chapters was all the times that Marilla's trying to tell her to do something and Anne just like goes on a super tangent. And then sometimes Anne says something like, for example, the picture of the Jesus, and she's like, she's saying these things like, I wish they wouldn't draw him looking so sad. And Marilla's like, that's very irreverent. And she's like, well, why? But like, I think like she kind of makes Marilla question like some of the things that she would have taken for granted. Because like, yeah, there was nothing really irreverent about talking about the Jesus picture. But she was just like, well, never mind. Just don't talk like that.
I also liked how she was like, I would prefer to pray in nature. And Marilla's like, you're next to a perfect heathen.
Yeah. I mean, at least she didn't say, I want to find God. Like, there is God in everything, which would be like a totally different theology than Christians. Yeah, monotheism would be like pantheism.
Yeah.
That would be pretty bad. I just remembered, you guys, when I was growing up, I had a very, very traditional, very conservative, religious upbringing. And for the longest time, my mom and dad, they would not let me watch Pocahontas because it has the whole belief of pantheism, like there's life, there's a spirit. Like to this day, I love Pocahontas, you guys. I love it. It's one of my favorites. Why? Because I love the colors. The color palette and the just aesthetic of it is sublime in my eyes, in my estimation. I love the jewel tones. I love it. But it wasn't until it had already been out for like maybe, I don't know, like 3 years that I finally got around to watching it. And this was because we went to visit one of my other family members, and when we went to their house, it was like, yes, we can watch anything now because it's their house, and we can't say like don't watch that because we just guessed, right? So like we would watch like, I think that's where I watched like PG-13 movies or like grown-up movies. Let's just say I was properly traumatized by Jurassic Park in my tender 8 years old or something like that. Or was it 8, 6, 5? I don't forget how old I was when I watched when that movie came out. I got nightmares. I would watch ghost movies. I didn't like them. I still don't, but we would still watch them there. The soap operas, which we were definitely not allowed to watch. But yeah, the one that I remember vividly was like, yes, my mom's not here and I can watch it. And it was Pocahontas. All to say that...
Good movie, by the way.
It is a good movie. I like that movie. Just please don't look into my Disney Plus to see how many times I watched it. Because it rivals Emperor's New Groove. I love Emperor's New Groove. Oh my gosh.
Magpie Mama, did you know that your precious daughter was able to watch this heathen movie?
She knows. And what's more, she can't say anything because it was her side of the family. So yeah, I think she's cool. She's mellowed out. We've mellowed out. I'm considerably, and she's considerably, we're all just considerably less conservative and traditional like that. Like before it was like, whoa. Now it's like, okay, yeah. Nah. Anyway, so yeah, let's see. Such a sad little anecdotes. And then Hirami says, my tongue. What happened, Hirami? Was it hard
It's the tongue twister. every time that, because I used, when I was a kid, I used to have my tongue was stuck.
Oh.
And I used to have a problem with the R's.
Mm-hmm.
And then reading this, every time that Anne said bosom friend, I almost said bosom friend.
By the way, I don't know if Anne coined this term. I still don't know. This is the only writing I've ever seen where the term bosom friend is. Bosom friend. I don't know if Ellen Montgomery coined it. Anybody know if somebody else or it exists a term like that, or was it just crazy Anne?
First time I heard it, so I don't know.
Because everybody's like, what kind of friend?
It was
I've heard of bosom buddy
concept. Yeah.
A what? A similar concept?
Victorian?
Yeah,
from the
bosom buddy.
Victorian era.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, because everybody's like, what kind of friend? And I'm like, oh, wow. So let's see, what else? Oh, I also like that, notice the part where she talks about the bumblebee? That they also included it. They somehow managed to include it in the anime, which I thought was cute. Since
that was very cute.
I'm a fan and a friend of bees everywhere, you guys. I think bees are precious creatures that we need to protect, especially bumblebees. Such precious little things. So I like that part. I kind of wanted us to read, like I was telling the gang, everybody, I wanted to read the next chapter. Mrs. Rachel Lynde is properly horrified, but we're not gonna have time. Actually, yeah, we don't. It's a good chapter, you guys. If you haven't watched the anime, well, look forward to it. If you have, then you know why
If you
it's
haven't
fun.
watched it yet, then what is wrong with you? Why haven't you watched it yet?
Hey, maybe it's folks that just found out this channel via the live reads. Who knows? It's possible. It's not likely, but maybe it's possible. Anyway. Let's see. Anything else that struck you about these two chapters? There was no Matthew, so therefore there was no Patrick reading. Sorry, Patrick.
I'll just have to suffice with annoying the magpie.
Yeah. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. By the way,
I wonder if Marilla is starting to regret her decision.
oh, her decision to take in Anne?
Yeah, because both chapters is just her talking and talking, and Marilla, no, Anne, pay attention, go to dad. And she keep talking and talking.
What do you guys think? Do you think she's come to regret it already? Oh, that would be enough.
There's a level of exasperation, but I think, it's early days, and I don't think she's totally fed up yet.
Yet.
She was like, don't talk to me about your imaginary friends, but she's also like, it'll be good for you to have a real living friend.
Right.
So I think, she has Anne's best interest at heart. She's just trying to raise her up. And like we said earlier, she's just being a little stoic and strict about it.
Mm-hmm. Right. So one of the things that eventually we'll get back to is the talk about Diana and her warning. She's like, yeah, you have to be careful to be very proper, very demure, very when it comes to Diana's mom. She's a very particular woman. Well, one day we will see more about this lady. We'll meet her, of course, but just keep that in mind. Those of you who know. All right. So TL says on the chat here, thank you, TL says, looks like bosom friend dates all the way back to the 1500s. Whoa. Wow. Okay. That is certainly, I don't know, I never heard it outside of, I've read like Victorian novels and stuff like that, but the only time I've ever come across bosom friend is with this book. So I guess I need to read more Victorian novels, which is kind of like a big ask. I don't know, you guys. When it comes to literature and Victorian literature, I think the one I like the most, and if it's, I don't even know if it's Victorian, I think it is Jane Eyre Victorian?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess it's as Victorian as it gets. Now that I think about it, yeah, you're right. So I think very few books have very few Victorian books have my heart. For the most part, I am more of a fiction, more contemporary fiction works. But I don't know. Do you guys have any Victorian era book that you like? All of you proper bookworms.
I think there are several, but I can't really think of off the top of my head.
Let's see. And then another thing is, Victorian, does it have to do with just English writers, or like that living in Victorian Queen time? Or can it be like American writers who wrote during those times? Because then I did read, like, for example, Mark Twain. We were talking about him sometime earlier, I think before the chat. Or was it during the chat? Well, whatever.
Would Mark Twain
Being a Victorian.
count as Victorian though?
I don't know. That's what I want to know. It's around the era, no?
I thought he was a little later than Victorian, or maybe I just have my information wrong about when Victorian was.
Let me see. I'm asking Google. Yes, it replies. Mark Twain is considered a Victorian-era writer. He was born in 1835 and lived through much of the Victorian period, which lasted from 1837 to 1901. He also wrote into the Edwardian era. A significant portion of his most famous works, like the... so his works like Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn were published during the Victorian era. Speaking of Victorian era, you guys.
All right then.
Absolutely, kind of related, but not really. If you enjoy a slice of life that's slow paced and it's gentle, it's a little bit old, but I recommend Victorian Romance Emma. It's in anime. It's on Crunchyroll. I think it has 2 seasons. I like it. And it's set, of course, in England during the Victorian era. But what I like the most, though, is the author and writer of the manga, because it was first made into a manga. And personally, I prefer the manga a lot. So do check that one out if you're into that, into historical things. I like historical things. So, Cerseus. Hey, Cerseus, how are you? Oh my goodness, buddy. Says, I think Dracula was a Victorian era novel. Let's ask Google. I don't know when Dracula was. Wait, Frankenstein definitely was Victorian era, but Dracula is Dracula.
I would think that those two were written around the same time period, weren't they?
Yes, it was written. And I'm not reading from Google. This is just off the top of my head.
Has a little bit of a fun fact here. Mark Twain was born when Halley's Comet was visible, and he died when it next came around.
Whoa! That's crazy.
Yep.
That's like pretty intense, though. Like, you see the stars coming around and drops off this child. And then when it comes around again, it takes the child with it. I don't know. Takes the soul. I don't know.
Yeah.
Am I sounding like Pocahontas?
He actually said...
What did he say?
I came in with Halley's Comet in 1835, and it's coming again next year, and I expect to go out with it.
Oh.
And he was right.
I wonder if he was sick by then.
So pretty much foretold his own death.
Yep.
I
love that
sick,
most
though.
people know him only as Mark Twain and don't know his real name, Samuel Clemens.
Samuel Clemens. I think one of my favorite books. I really enjoyed it, and I don't think a lot of people talk about it. I liked Innocents Abroad. It's basically he went to travel out into Europe and such, and because like back in the day, like people who were, you weren't considered properly brought up if you didn't go and do the tour, the European tour, and go visit, the sites and all the things. So he did like a kind of satire of people who are out traveling and, civilized folk going out to see these sites. I recommend it. It was fun. But yeah. There was something about Mark Twain also. Oh, yes, he had a cat and he was a cat person. That's very important fact, you guys.
He was also a misanthrope.
Yeah. And there was something about his wife or something. But let me also tell you that Ellen Montgomery was also a cat person. She doesn't quite put as much of herself in Anne of Green Gables. But if you read Emily of New Moon, a lot of the things about Emily and her feelings and just her story in general, you can see a lot of Ellen Montgomery in her. Why? Because Emily of New Moon was basically the story of, again, an orphan kid who ended up being taken care of, a severe kind of elderly relation. So yeah, going down the checklist, check. It was basically Ellen Montgomery. She also married very, very late in her life. I get, according to that time, very, very late was in your 30s. Oh, Ellen Montgomery. But yeah, she was a cat person, and I love to see it. Let's see. But yeah, Dracula, back to what Circe was saying. Dracula was deeply rooted in Victorian era, reflects the anxieties and societal concerns of late Victorian Britain. It explores the themes of scientific progress, colonialism, and the changing roles of women and men, all of which were prominent issues during the Victorian period. Thank you so much, Google Gemini. All right. Let's see. We also have Teal. Yes, the comet. When was the last time the Halley's Comet was here?
I seem to remember around the turn of the millennium.
Ooh, okay. Halley's Comet was last seen from Earth in 1986. So I wasn't born yet.
I was wrong.
Yeah, I wasn't born yet. So
Maybe I'm thinking of another comet.
Maybe. And then it is expected to return in 2061. Oh, let's hang around till then, everybody. But yeah, it comes around every 76 years. So how old was Mark Twain when he died? 76 years old. Let's see. What else? If you want, Hiremi says, if you want a recommendation, I know a lot of people like Dom Casmurro, written by Machado de Assis. It's a Brazilian classic. Ooh, let's see. Since I have Google here open, let's see. Dom Casmurro. Okay, let's see what it is. What is it about?
Ooh, Christmas Carol.
It's a novel narrated by the unreliable character Bento Santiago, who suspects his wife Capitu of infidelity with his best friend Escobar. This better not be like he knew it was right. The novel explores the corrosive power of jealousy and the themes of love, marriage, and deception within the context of 19th century Rio de Janeiro. Bento's suspicions are never definitely proven, leaving the reader to question the truth of his account and the nature of Capitu's relationship with Escobar. No, not this kind of story. Actually, if it has tasty angst. Okay.
Yes.
If it has tasty angst, I can get behind it. If it has like misogyny, I can't though. If it has like, yeah, women do this because women are like, I'm like,
Okay, I mean, it is a pretty old classic, so it has a little bit, but by the characters, not by the narrator.
Okay.
And I don't know if you call it tasty angst, but it's very angsty. And it's a classic that all schools here recommend people to read, but I cannot get through it because I cannot suffer very much.
All right, so all schools recommend it. You recommend it, but you won't read it.
I mean, it is. When I ask, when people come talking to me about Brazilian literature, most of them started reading Brazilian literature because of Dom Casmurro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it is like the classic. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So it does say there's dark humor despite its serious themes. The novel contains a darkly comic edge reflecting Machado de Assis's satirical and insightful style. You know what? I might like it. Memory and reminiscence. All right, these are very interesting things. Okay, I shall put it to my list. Let's see. Thank you. Written in 1899. Yes, that is definitely Victorian. And then, but honestly, the Victorian era didn't have a big change here. I think from what I remember, okay, this is kind of sad, but don't blame me too much. I didn't live in Mexico for too long, but I've never read a real definitive Mexican novel, like Victorian era. Like, I don't know who is like, because if you tell me like what's a Spanish language classic, right? Immediately is Don Quixote de la Mancha, right? That's Spain. That's from Spain. Oh, is it? Was that Jeremy? Who?
Oh no, I was googling it, and the first thing that appears was the Labyrinth of the Faun.
Where's that from?
Oh, I don't know how is it. Oh, sorry.
Library of the.
Yeah, because the name was in Portuguese here.
Oh,
Wait,
okay.
Let me.
What? Mexican Gothic is not a Mexican Victorian novel. Get away from here. What is this? I'm sorry. What? Gemini, you suck. All right. So there are several ones. I did read a classic Mexican one. Is like Water for Chocolate. I probably shouldn't have read it so young, but there you go. I read it. Half of the time I was like, "What is going on?" What's up?
Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh, Pan's Labyrinth. Is that a Victorian
It's
novel?
Mexican.
Wait, what?
I don't know if it.
Pan's Labyrinth is. I know Pan's Labyrinth was the
no,
adaptation
it's
was done by
2006.
yeah, because Pan's Labyrinth was
oh, no.
by a Mexican director, as far as I know.
Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro, yeah. Who also did The Shape of Water and stuff, and other things.
Yeah, I remember that movie. It was very scary.
Yeah, the look is very fantastical, but I probably won't watch it either. All right, so I couldn't find anything Mexican to share with you guys. Yeah, I am sorry. I am not well educated. Like, again, like if I were to say like a Spanish, I'm not even Mexican, Spanish language, you have classic for sure is what did I say earlier? That one. And then there's also, I think my dad was like, you should also read El Cid. Again, Spanish. I didn't read it. So yeah, when it comes to Spanish stuff, I read Laura Esquivel. I read Allende. From like, I don't know, but I don't know. Mostly I read just English language. So anyway, if you guys have any recommendations, whether it's Victorian or not, any books that you like, do share them. Yeah, I think that's it. That's all for today, you guys. Unless, let me see if there's more messages here. Oh, Cerseus also said, I think A Christmas Carol would be Victorian. Indeed, that is peak Victorian. Oh my gosh, yes. By Darl's Chickens. Yeah. And I watched that stage play every December in my childhood. Can I say something, you guys? I haven't even watched the movie.
No, you cannot say something on your own channel.
I haven't even watched the movie, which I do mean to rectify. I'll watch it this coming Christmas season. I'll watch it. I probably won't read the book because it's very hard for me to get through a Charles Dickens book. But I will watch the movie.
So writing from his time period, like Ernest Hemingway, Charles Dickens, people like that, it is definitely different from what we read today. Mm-hmm. It's difficult for me.
I kind of feel like we get a little bit of that in Ellen Montgomery's writing, because if you guys read, those of you who read with me Jane Eyre, it was a long book, but there was a lot of stuff going on, right? A lot of internal stuff, internal happenings, but the books always pause to like for the character to reflect and show their inner state and also their outer state in great detail, like the surroundings, and not just say like, oh, the mountains were far away and misty. They would be like, there was like a curtain of mist, like the veil of a ghostly bride sweeping down over the veil and into like, I'm like, oh my gosh, no. But that's kind of like, we're kind of getting a little bit of that here with Anne of Green Gables, which is, yeah, Ella Montgomery had a knack for writing these things, but she's also from that time period where Victorian literature was, you know, the thing that you would have read growing up. You know, the most like what would be contemporary books were, you know, like to them that was like the newest stuff, the Victorian era stuff. So as it is though, she makes it, at least she bounces out with fun little back and forths. I'm vastly enjoying Marilla and Anne just Anne saying things, and Marilla trying to parent her, trying not to get too charmed, and trying to put a moral to everything. And we'll see how she gets on. Next time on Wednesday, we're going to see Mrs. Rachel Lynde is gonna come in for a visit. If you haven't read ahead, if you haven't seen the anime adaptation, you'll enjoy it a lot. Either way, I hope you guys join me on Wednesday, 4 o'clock, as always, for next 2 chapters of Anne of Green Gables.
And would you like to tell the people how they can follow you and maybe get notifications for what's going on?
Yes, thank you for the reminder. So if you would like more notifications, not just about this channel, but also bookworm happenings, you can follow me on X or Blue Sky. I post in like whenever there's an update on Hana lore or new manga chapters for a sense of the bookworm, or when you need something easy on the eyes, I will repost Ferdinand fan art. So do join me there. Also, if you want to support this channel and join in on these on these read-alongs, you can do so by clicking the join button. Yes, you can click it in right now. You won't automatically be logged in. It's just so you can see what this membership offers for you. Yeah, so become a member and join. But if you want to support this channel, and you can do so also by just liking, commenting, sharing, spreading the word, tell your friends, tell your family members, tell your dog and your cat to join this channel, or to watch the stuff on the channel. All right, everybody, thank you for that. So we will see you then on Wednesday. Gang, thank you so much for reading today. Today's highlights were brought to you by Hiremi and Teal. And today's... Wait a minute. Today's read-along was just basically brought to you by Hiremi and Teal, because both of them highlighted and both of them read. So Teal did Marilla, Hiremi did Anne. Thank you, guys. Bravo.
And I brought the color commentary.
Yes. Thank you. We couldn't do without you.
Very important.
Yes, very important. All right, everybody. I hope you have a nice weekend, especially for those of you who observe Easter. Have fun, and we will see you on Wednesday. Bye-bye, gang.
Bye.
Adios.
Bye-bye.
I just realized, Teal, that you posted a comment about the Count of Monte